Selah, what is it?
Selah Ventures is just the baby of over a decade of doing early stage venture, both in Israel and the States. One time I met you, I saw you, let's go. I've known Leo for years. I've known Elad Shulman from Lasso Security. I met him. We were both sitting on the board of Sinomi.
You'd say you're very bullish about the fintech in the future in Israel?
Otherwise, I wouldn't have this fun. But yeah, 100%. Companies like Apple, Twitter, or X, Meta are massive fintech companies.
So why is it so strong in Israel?
So, I mean, no.
Is it the money thing?
I think it has to do with
because we don't have a finance industry here.
We don't.
We could, by the way, because London and New York are both running themselves to the ground in this thing.
Israel has a lot. I wrote an article about this in 2018. I'm happy to share it with you.
Please.
There's a lot of reasons why Israel.
Welcome to another episode of Israel Tech. I'm excited to have here Adi Levanon from Selah VC. But before we get to that, let me tell you what we're doing here at Israel Tech. We're working to democratize and decentralize the Israel Tech ecosystem by being the leader in new media. We're bringing everything happening in the Israeli tech ecosystem straight to you. So make sure you like, subscribe, follow with your friends so we can have a greater impact, and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter. It's pretty new and it's kick-ass. Adi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah, it's really great to be here. So first off, I think the hardest part of this conversation is me holding my posture because it's really uncomfortable here. I got a big tech setup.
Just gotta keep focused.
Yeah. Okay. So let me tell you. I think I first met you in person at David Siegel's. What's it called? The mission, Israel Tech Mission.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago.
That was December. We're talking about. It was like November.
What? Oh my gosh.
When was
it? Feels such a long time ago.
It was like November, December. We're talking about. It was like yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Of 2024. So in 2024, we're July 25.
Wow.
And for those listening in the future, so I asked him who should I interview. It's like, dude, you totally got to interview Adi. So why don't we interviewed you at that party, that dinner thing, which was great.
Right.
Overate, drank, it was fabulous.
It was really
I was
good.
so smart getting a hotel because I don't live in there yet. Okay, so then I saw you at Tech One, and I was like,
Correct, in Eilat.
I want to, in Eilat in May 2025, and I was like, I gotta have it on. You're like, where's my interview? And I was like, what are you talking about? She used different language.
Yes, nicer language.
Was it still colorful?
It was, I mean, potentially.
So immediately, what's 17? I was like, did we never drop that?
No, we never did.
And we didn't. I'm like, drop that thing tomorrow. And so they did. They dropped it tomorrow. And so I was like, and then here we are, just a natural progression from our last conversation 2 months ago.
Nice.
In Eilat. And here we are in the studios at Google for Startups. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And here to learn about you. So, Selah, what is it? Tell us like the roots because I think you're totally unique.
Thank you.
I want to speak for you, but you speak better, so go.
Oh, I appreciate it. First of all, it's Selah Ventures, not Selah VC, but that's fine. On the website, it's Selah VC, and then somebody told me it sounds like Selah V. I was like, that's fine, Selah VC.
That's cute.
Yeah, it works too. So what is it from like the fund, the name? Where should I start? What do you want to hear?
I guess the name, why you founded it, when you founded it, and then maybe just kind of like walk us through.
Yeah. So I mean, the idea for, I think if you ask my friends from childhood, they'll say that I've always wanted to have my own fund, apparently. Yeah. It's like ever since I started.
Sounds like revisionary history.
No. Ever since when I started off as a lawyer.
Oh, not childhood, but young adult.
Sorry, I said childhood?
Yeah.
I think since childhood, I knew that I wanted to like have something of my own, but I didn't ever, it took me a long time to realize that that's what I should be doing.
Are you entrepreneurial in your nature?
Yeah. It's from home. Are
your parents entrepreneurial?
Yeah.
You know, I noticed just recently, me, my brother, my sister, all three of us were all entrepreneurs.
It just comes.
And so was my dad, was also worked for himself.
There you go. I don't know. My sister's not like that. My brother, maybe he will be, but I don't know. Me, it's in my, it's just so much who I am. So I've thought about it for years, and I worked at other funds and did different things, but I've always wanted to have something of my own. And I started thinking about it in the best time to raise a fund, which was 2021. And I started actually going for it in the worst time to raise a fund, which was 2022. But essentially, Selah Ventures is just the kind of the baby of over a decade of doing early stage venture, both in Israel and the States, and investing in FinTech, the industry, over since 2015. Started off in the US, and then when I moved back here.
When did you move back here?
I moved back here officially end of 2019, even early 2018, but when I started working again, it was 2019. And Selah Ventures came from the idea of what I wanted to bring to founders and just to the world of tech. So Selah it's spelled two different ways in Hebrew. So Selah spelled with Ein, Selah, as we know, just means the rock, a boulder, which is something that is, you can't move it, it's steady, it is the basis, right? The ground. And Selah, spelled with Hey, Samech Lamed Hey, is actually a really spiritual word. I think it's written, you maybe know this more than me, I think it's 77 times in the Talmud. We hear like Amen Selah. So some people think, okay, it's just the end of a song or the end of something. But when you read into the different definitions, there are actually so many. And one of them that I really connected to was to lift and elevate. So I love the idea of being the rock and the basis and being that foundation, but helping take to the next level. And that's just really just who I am as a person, but also what I wanted for the fund.
There's a paradox in that too, because a boulder you can't lift.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, when you're the Hebrew definition of as relationship wise, you would say that person's my rock. It doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship.
Right.
It could even be
That's
a business
right.
relationship.
Right. Your support, your system.
Your support, this and that.
Foundation.
And that's the person that lets you elevate in your own way.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. It's a funny play.
But also when you look at at a mountain, it starts from a basis and then goes up.
Right.
So in many ways and also I don't know if you've seen part of my swag, it's like a 3D rock. So it looks like
cool.
it's moving. So yeah,
it looks very techy.
Thank you. So that is me. That's a lot of what I wanted to do with the fund, and that's kind of just behind the name. The fund itself is, I wanted to continue doing what I've done for years, which was do something, really early investments, as early as possible, taking that early risk. So you call it pre-seed, call it seed, whatever that is, just the first, institutional capital inside the company. And I wanted to continue investing in fintech, whatever that meant. As the industry kept evolving, I wanted to be evolving as well, and to be really collaborative. And so I built the fund that way. I structured it that way. The size of the fund, the check sizes, the whole thing behind it. And so now we are 2 years in. Since 2023, 10 portfolio companies, investing in Israelis and Americans, but building for the U.S. market. That's Selah Ventures kind of in a nutshell.
That's cool. So what was your first investment?
The first investment I made is actually a female founder, CEO, and it was used to be called something else. Now it's called Corbel. I don't know if you know Leora Lichtenstein. She's total badass firecracker. She's an amazing founder. We actually met when she was also doing investments out of fund before at Ground Up Ventures. And one day she came to me. She's like, "Listen, I have an idea and I gotta go and do it." She's like, "I have to do it, and it's fintech." I'm like, "Okay, let's talk." It's really, really cool. But they're basically building right now as a platform that on one hand works with industrial equipment, industrial manufacturers. They have no real way today to sell in a smarter and better and more digitized way, but also offering their customers what's called CPQ, which is I think it's cost, price, and quote. I hope I'm saying it right.
It's customer price quote, no? CPQ, because
what's the C customer? I'm sorry, I'm getting
no, because they did it we used to do marketing for Deal Hub. Deal Hub, they do CPQ, don't they?
I believe so.
Oh well.
But the idea here is really to be that operating system. I'm sorry that I'm saying it wrong, but the idea behind it is to be kind of that operating system to help these different companies that have large industrial manufacturing to be able to first of all have a better sales cycle and process and product to their buyers, but then connect that to the fintech side of thing, which is almost have a lease to own opportunity like you could have for in the world of car sales. They have that. So really being that opportunity where you can now lease large scale equipment, buy now, pay later, if you will, get that financing, which by the way is very specific in the States. So you don't really have, financial firms that are only focused on equipment financing, for example. It's very different because there's collateral involved, stuff like that. So they're building a whole platform around that and doing really well in scaling. So that was my first investment, which is
Let's talk about that for a second, because doing your first investment and solo.
Yeah.
Can I ask how much the check? We'll talk about solo in a minute, but how much was the first check?
So I invest $500K on average.
So was that scary for you? You're like, having no one to help me. I have no experience.
What do you mean I have no experience?
At that point,
raising a fund? No, yes, I've never
right.
I've never
raise
managed
the
a fund.
Okay.
So sorry. You're absolutely right.
I'm just thinking your first. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I bought 2 pieces of rental real estate in Philly before I made Aliyah, and I used that cash flow to help support my Aliyah.
Okay.
Nice. The first one we used our wedding money, right? Actually, this was when Bed Bath & Beyond, you were able to bring everything and no questions asked, and they'll just give you back cash.
Yep.
We've ruined that because of us. They've stopped doing that.
Yep.
And so we had $17,000, $15,000, and then I brought some other money. And I bought a house, but I looked at over 80 houses. I'd wake up at 5 in the morning, go to Philly, come back, then take the train to work to Xerox in Center City. I was so scared, and I was like, this is it. And I knew I was confident how much repairs, and then I was totally wrong. I had to redo the kitchen, redo the things. It was $70,000 more in repairs than I anticipated. It was fine. It ended up being a great investment, made a lot of money. Good. Thank God. I learned a lot. But I just remember the analysis paralysis. Even though I had people that had far more experience, I've been advising and helping me, in residential real estate in Philly. It was just that first leap. I had to look at so many things.
Of course.
So how are you so sure? Before we continue, let me tell you about our partners, The Recruitery. The Recruitery places go-to-market talent for early and growth stage cybersecurity companies. The Recruitery specializes in recruiting and retaining top talent in global markets. If you're looking for a recruitment company to help your cybersecurity company close cultural gaps and find great talent on the ground that can help you scale, we recommend you also partnering with our partner, The Recruitery. And now, back to the show.
So it's a mix. Like I've been doing early stage venture since late 2012. I ain't young. So I've been doing this for a while.
Well, looks are deceiving.
Thank you. But I've been doing this for a while. And so when you see 1,000 companies a year, and
Right.
when you're doing a generalist VC,
Right,
and when you're
right,
seeing
right.
over 500 as a FinTech VC, there's a level of, I've seen it, I know it, I've analyzed it. And then with somebody like Leora, a lot of my portfolio companies, I've known the founders for a while. These were not one time, I met you, I saw you, let's go. I've known Leora for years. I've known Elad Shulman from Lasso Security. I met him. We were both sitting on the board of Synomi.
Former guest and Sonomi, both of them are, were on Israel Tech.
There you go. So yeah, and also, that's funny, I've also known, Synomi I invested when I was at Flint Capital. I brought that deal, and I know him through his wife that studied, we did Kellogg together. So like,
That's funny.
yeah, so a lot of,
Chicago?
well, it was Kellogg and with the Tel Aviv University. But the idea is that with Leora, I knew her. I knew what she was doing. I knew the team. I connected with the problem. I did the due diligence. So like with any company that I invest in, there's a mix of, if I know them for a long time, that's obviously helpful. But I know what feels like there's something there, that there's a founder or co-founders that I'm like, oh my God, there's something here that like, there's fire, right? There's like a team, whether it's, Romi from Sensi that I invested in, or, Elad, or Avi from Entrio. Like I have people that there's something in them that that they can go far, and they know the industry, and they have this hunger to prove themselves, or, maybe some of them have kind of a little bit of a, an itch on their shoulder, and they got to go and build. And then beyond that, it's the due diligence, it's talking to potential customers, it's doing everything I've always done over the years. So was I scared? It felt really natural. Like I was so excited. I was so happy. I was like, yes, like, I hope it's okay to say, but like, fuck yeah, I have this fund and I have the money to invest.
If you're going to say it, you got to say it.
with the gravitas. So I say, fuck yeah.
With your commercial voice.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking.
Sorry for any kids listening. I don't think they would be, but anyway, it was an exciting moment. Like doing those, 10 investments, like each one is more, it's exciting. I get excited. It's fun. And you never know, right? Like a while ago, I sat with myself and I was like, how did I know in the past that like Unit would be amazing, or when I invested in Alloy, they'd be amazing, or Sensi, Synomi, or or Just, or Tweet, any of the companies that, or Dig Security. I mean, like there's and in most cases, it has to do with the team, the founders, the co-founders. I was like, there's that fire, that itch, that humility with the conviction. I always talk about like there was that, but then it's like, okay, but let's talk to like, what about this problem is big? And what about what they're building is right? And I always talk to potential customers. Like, some of the teams that I ended up investing in at other funds I worked for before I founded Selah Ventures, like, the GPs didn't see what I saw. And it happens, it's normal. But then if you believe in it and you have that conviction, you got to go and prove it. And a lot of that has to do with, let's talk to potential customers. I recorded them. I wanted to hear why they thought this product would make sense or not make sense, what works and what doesn't. And you learn a lot of things that way. A lot of deals I maybe would have been on the fence. And then when I talk to a potential customer or existing, design partner, like, holy crap, like this is awesome. This is big. This means something. And then it just makes it so much easier. But I'm in the business of taking risks. Like that's what it is to do pre-seed, seed. That's what it means to invest early.
Oh, totally. So, but do you like the risk, or do you like that? Like you're the first is there something fun and unique about the relationship you build on the first check? What is it attracts you to that?
So no, I like how you position that question. Yes, because I definitely love that. There's something so unique about meeting founders really, really early. Like I've spoken about this on some other podcasts, that I'm at the point now where it's because I invest so early. A lot of folks reach out to me. They're like, I'm just, I'm about to leave FinTech company A or B, and I'm thinking of building something, and I just have a few ideas. Let's talk. or me and Moshe or Dana, we want to build a company, but we don't have any ideas, or we do have ideas, and we do a few ideas, but like we want to validate it with you. And to meet people that early on in their journey, like I can't explain the like I say exciting a lot, but it's more than excitement. There's something, I'm such a curious person, and being able, and I love to learn and dive deep into, and I think the back and forth that happens in those meetings, it's like dopamine, like really, it's just, they're super smart, they know their space, they know what interests them, and then I get to ask them questions, they like what I ask them, they like that I understand what they're talking about. I think sometimes with other, if you're not talking to somebody who's been investing in fintech for a long time, they don't always understand what you understand. And so that is exhilarating, and it's fun to meet them really early. And then I don't know if I like risk. I think I've just, coming from the house that I've grown up in, I've moved so many different, states in my life. I was born in Texas, moved to Boston, lived in California, moved to Israel. Like I've moved around a lot, different cities, different schools, different places. You become adaptive. And if maybe as a kid that scared me, now I think it's who I am. I'm not afraid to take risks.
Right.
There's nothing as long as I'm healthy, knock on wood,
Amen.
And my kids are healthy, B'ezrat Hashem, and my daughter and my family, then there's like, bemet, no ayn hara on this, but like there's nothing I can't do or can't overcome. I've learned that about myself. And so, yeah, I like the early risk, and I like being part of that journey with founders.
So I think you have you mentioned, you said one word, I think you passed over, or I think you should give more attention to, is you said you're curious.
Yes.
I'm also very curious. I find those people that with the risk, like you want to go out there, and I find that I have a few people in my mind, as I say this, they see life kind of like almost as an adventure. So they're not scared so much of things, they're over the risk, and they want to go and explore life from a they're like Curious George, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. But he gets in trouble.
Yeah, well, so do I. But
I try not to.
Wrong show. Yeah, so I find that the curiosity is a major component when it comes to especially source dealing, or if you're in sales,
anything,
or development or learning and all that. Yeah, I probably spend too much time consuming information just to learn because I get really curious. I go down those holes.
I think that's great, though.
So from the beginning, your intention was to be solo.
It was never like, I need to do this alone. I knew that from doing this in other funds, and I did some angel investing at some point, is that I wanted to be able to write checks. I think a lot of what was, over the years has been, you've noticed like in VC, like it was much more, it's not just men and women, but yes, it was mainly men versus women. And then even when funds in Israel started hiring women, a lot of these women were not partners, but they wanted somebody who had experience being a partner. And it was like this situation where it was very hard to be able to get to where you wanted to get to as a woman, or where I wanted to get to in the world of venture, without being able to actually make decisions. And over the years, I brought in a lot of great teams to the investment committee that we didn't end up investing in. It happens, it's normal. But once those teams became really successful, I was like, wait a second, like I wanted to be in the position where I could write those checks. And I wanted to be in the position where if I saw, like I said before, if I felt that conviction, I saw that fire, that itch, everything that I found in that team, I wanted to be able to put the money and back the team. And so it wasn't that I needed to do this alone, and I think I have to do everything. I'm like, no, I need support systems, I need family, I need friends, I need partners, like
so
100%.
You are human.
I am. Yes, they said, no, there's this joke, show over. But no, because there was this little, you have to understand the trajectory of raising a fund over the past couple of years. 2 years ago, people were like, solo GP, that's insane. Like nobody wanted to back a solo GP. And now people are like, solo GPs are the shit.
Wait, so what changed?
A few things. One.
Well, first, why didn't they?
Well, first, as you can imagine, just like the key man issue, like what happens if I, God forbid, die, or what, God, whatever, what happens, okay?
That's legit.
So everybody was like, at first, if you're going to do something, if you're going to raise a fund, do it with partners. It was like, you have to do it. Just like, solo founder was like, when
someone says you have to, do the opposite and you'll succeed.
Could be.
That's my
I hear you.
Shkafa.
I hear you. No, it's not. It's a good shkafa, but I think that in this case, it was like just a lot of LPs were like not doing it, right? And then what happened over time, a lot of these teams ended up splitting. And they realized, I think, as we know, that just like relationships are hard, and also building a team is hard, and it's not an easy thing. You need to know who you're building this baby with. Like it's not so different than it's just relationships in general, and so. I think that was the switch. And then also some solo GPs just fucking crushed it There's some funds out there that are solo GPs and they're just doing an amazing, amazing, amazing job. They're faster. I mean, you don't have to look at Oren Zev just as an example because he's like an anomaly, but there's a lot of newcomers that are doing the same thing. And so recently there was an article that that came out that like they were interviewing a few LPs and they were saying like, there's something so incredible about the solo GP. The solo GP is a founder, him or herself. They connect so much better to the founders. Their network and they work hard and they're gritty and but they're also psychotic, right? Like that's a part of it. And I fully agree on all of that.
Lovely.
So to answer your question, I'm yes.
A psychiatrist is going to walk down and like take that.
I am not, as you can tell, I'm high energy. I work hard, and I care. For me, it wasn't that I needed to do this alone. It was that I knew that there was a point in time in my personal life and my personal career and in the market that it was the right time to build Selah Ventures, and I knew that I was the person to do it. And I spoke to a few people, I thought about who could be a potential partner, but you have to understand what it means to raise a fund. You need a few things. You need to, one, want to raise a fund. Two, be able to raise a fund. Like financially, I had to put 1% of my capital into the fund, that at least 1%. So you need to be able, and you have to be able to do that financially and at home. And so many different things need to take place. And then you have to know FinTech and want to invest in FinTech and be okay with pre-seed. Or there's a lot of different, because I knew what I wanted. And so, it's not an easy thing to find somebody that fits that, I don't know how to say shablona, I forgot my English, but to fit that kind of like framework, right? And I just didn't want to wait for Prince or Princess Charming to go do that. And so I went for it. To tell you that that's going to be the trajectory for Selah Ventures forever, not sure. Because now that I'm in it 2 years later, I realized like, so you need that help. You need like, I have my tomchei lechima, I have my people that help with whatever I need to do. But if I wish I could find that person, male, female, I don't care, that had that experience, the passion, the desire to go build a fund alongside
That's hard,
myself.
right?
Yeah, it is. Because not everybody has that experience.
Right. I feel just, have you ever gone running?
I used to run.
Whatever. It's not for
running,
the analogy. Okay.
But
So and then my cousin, she runs and she lives in Boston. And so she came and visited like 10 years ago or something in my old apartment, Pardes Khana. And so we went for a run together and I'm like, this sucks. It's just like, and it was in the fields. It wasn't even like on the road. So it's like different pace and different things. And it's kind of like, talking in between. It was jogging. So we're like go sprinting. And it's like, this is just easier alone. I can go faster, do what I want, stop what I want, take a break. Hey, let me sit here and meditate for a bit. Let me stretch. And you didn't have to check with anyone, in a sense. And I was able to just fly.
I feel that way.
Is it like that?
So I think your analogy is beautiful. And there's a lot of that. Like, of course, like I sit with the teams. I go with my gut. I listen to them. I go through the contracts, due diligence. I flow according to my flow. But there's obviously the other side of it. It's all me. And there's bureaucracy and there's paperwork and there's this and there's that. And then I don't, and people are like, hey, you know how many text messages I have? And I say this a lot and I apologize for it. I don't have the time and the capacity to do everything I wish I could do and to get back to people as fast as I used to. And just like, I don't know, like things I used to do, like I used to have coffee meetings. I don't have just like general coffee meetings.
I don't either. I know.
But I used to. And when you run your own business, and especially as a solo GP, I personally, maybe others can do it. I personally haven't been able to do that the same way because I'm so focused on companies, founders, helping and working my portfolio and getting deals done. And then there's just like other things you want to do, like events, swag, and let's not forget there was fundraising. So the answer to your question in general is like, I love doing it this way. Will it be this way forever? I don't know, because I also realized that, like, we talked before the podcast about work-life balance, and you said something nice. You believe in work-life integration, and I think for myself, what I've realized is like this suits me so well, but partnership really suits me well too. Mm-hmm. And I would love to find the persons to do this with, whether in the States or here. I think there's a lot you can do together as long as there's really clear communication and you're in sync, and there's the you know what you are and what you aren't. But it's hard. If you look at most of the VC funds out there, there's a lot of splits. There's a lot of people leaving. And even when things...
Why?
Ego, money. Think about it. Like, there's a lot of things in venture that are almost counterintuitive. You have a bucket of money that needs to be divided between different partners, and everybody wants to get their deal through the investment committee. And sometimes and depending on how the fund is structured, that affects how decisions are being made. So if somebody's, let's say, done during a course of a year, I don't know, 4 investments and the other guy has only done like 1. So at some point, maybe that person who's only done 1 would be like, is going to say no to a lot of new deals that come in. Like there's a game.
It sounds like more politics than other industries, would you say?
I don't know if it's, no, there's much more politics if you work for a corporate or a startup for sure. But I think if you look even in, Israeli funds that ended up closing, like, and there's always, there's a lot of drama internally that we don't probably know about. And again, because it's just human beings and it's managing money, it's making decisions. It's not an easy thing. At the end of the day, a venture capital fund is an asset manager.
Right, exactly.
And you need to be able to bring returns.
Have people overcomplicated it?
I don't know.
Do you think the model is no longer sufficient?
It's definitely changing.
That's your way of saying it has room for improvement?
I think it's happening without... Like, it's just happening by,
Like people are just saying there's a problem. How do we fix it?
No, I don't think it's about a problem. It's just what's happening now, even with just the technology that we're seeing with AI and Gen AI and everything. It's happening without us even being, pushing it forward. It's happening on its own. So VC Ventures is definitely changing and going to change a lot, for sure. We're seeing it happen already. Like, just even the fact that, like, nobody's hiring juniors anymore. Right. They don't need it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because the AI can do, you also junior analysts especially.
Yeah. There's like, I've literally asked, like, who's hiring? Nobody's hiring. And it could be because they don't have money. That's not true. It's not true.
Right. Yeah.
Funds have, it's not true.
Right.
I think it's just things in
by definition, they have money.
Yeah, they have management fees. So I don't know. I just think that in the end of the day, it's, yes, venture is shifting. And being a GP with other GPs is not, it's amazing and it's necessary. But I think when you look at the funds where it's lasted and really well, there's people that have worked together before. They're different or very similar, just like any relationship.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Let's talk about fintech, because that's what you like to invest in.
Yeah.
Why fintech? Like, do you have a finance background? What is it?
I don't. I'm probably one of the weirdos that I didn't come from, like, I didn't work at like Nomura or like, Citadel or any of those. When I moved to New York, I knew that I wanted to, and I've said this again, I feel always bad when I talk on podcasts because I keep saying the same thing, but at least I'm consistent.
But
it's okay.
I hate to break it to you, but people don't listen to every podcast you're on or the ones I'm on.
Hey, I don't think I'm that interesting,
in my
but
mind,
for me, I feel like, I'm saying it again.
What I worry is when I repeat things on this show, then
okay.
That's sometimes
fair enough. Anyways, so I knew that I wanted to build an expertise. There was something about being a generalist, which was amazing when I worked for a fund here in Israel beforehand, but about moving to New York, and it's in retrospect, I'm like, I was like, I don't know how I got to that. Like, I think it was, there was somebody at a VC fund here, a veteran, who was like, you need to be focused. I don't even know if what he meant is what I ended up doing. But he did say, you need to be focused. And I don't even think he meant focus on an industry. But I took it that way.
Oh, interesting.
And I think in retrospect, how smart was I? And that, I don't know, like I was much younger. It was like now almost 11 years. Sheesh. And 11 years. And I remember I wrote down on a piece of paper and I said, like, I want to build an expertise. I want to get into a specific industry. And I knew in New York, I wanted it to either be cyber or finance. Right. It wasn't even called FinTech. And that was, or I didn't know it was called FinTech. And then it took me a long time to find a job there. It was not easy, but through help of friends, I got connected to a fund called FinTech Collective, which today I think they hold like $1 billion in AUM. Back then they were a smaller fund than mine. But I really connected what they were doing because I looked a little bit into the Bitcoin space. We didn't call it Web3 or crypto in 2013, but we looked a little bit into that space and looked into payments because the fund I worked for invested in Zoos, which was later sold to PayU, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, and it just made sense. And I honestly, it was difficult to understand what fintech is because it's so broad. It was so complex. But the more I met, like you asked me before, the more I met more companies and the more I got exposed to it, I understood what I'm better at, what I'm less good at, what interests me more, what interests me less. And I just thought it was like, it's just so interesting. It's so interesting and it touches everything. So that's how it started for me and why I decided to keep going.
Got it. So it's from New York mostly,
yeah.
You're saying. Okay. That makes sense. Do you find it fun, fintech?
If I didn't find it fun, I wouldn't do it.
No, but maybe your work is fun. A lot of people, like I like marketing, and I do marketing for some very boring technology.
I can give you so many examples. I mean, like, just think about it. It's everything we do involves around money.
Right.
And everything is a transaction. Everything is but everything also has to do around money, has to do with behavior. And also, like, there's some companies that are focused now on, like, consumer fintech around, like, mental health. Like, how do you deal with stress, and what financial solution can I give you based on your financial status at this specific moment, based on how stressed you are and what issues you may have in your bank account. Like, there's just so many different aspects of fintech that are personal, but obviously business oriented, but touch around security and safety and privacy and who you are and what you like and what interests you, what dreams you have. Like, it's so broad, and it touches so much of who we are. People think, oh, how can you, like, it's just about making money. No, it's about, like, what we buy says a lot about who we are. What our goals are has to do with getting there, has to do with, money movement, transactions, but also, like, how do we keep ourselves safe and secure when we pass money around, Like, so to answer your question, to me, fintech is I don't know if I'd say, like, fun. I don't know, is cyber fun? Is ad tech fun? But it touches my curiosity. And I feel that there's also an actual positive impact.
Oh, totally.
It's not just about, just like even with the company I mentioned, Corbel, or other companies that I have around the table, like, in the end of the day, you're helping businesses do things in a more secure, trustworthy, risk managed, smart, customized way. And so, yeah, it just helps our lives, I think, be more convenient in many ways. And I don't know, that gets me excited.
So maybe then this probably answers my next question, because you said you asked why fintech, and you said it's money and it touches everything. So why is it so strong in Israel?
No.
Is it the money thing?
Well, I think it has to do with, like,
because we don't have a finance industry here.
We don't.
We could, by the way, because London and New York are both running themselves to the ground in this thing.
Israel has a lot. I wrote an article about this in 2018. I'm happy to share with you.
Please.
There's a lot of reasons why Israel can build really, I think, the best fintech companies in the world, which is why I built the fund. But we're never going to be a fintech hub.
Right.
It won't happen.
So.
No, we can't.
Why? Go.
The short of it, and I apologize for anybody who works in Israeli finance, but I mean, it's just, it's a small country. You have a duopoly of banks. So there's a lot of pressures from different angles to not let things be as open and as flexible as fintech is supposed to be.
Right.
The fact that we have 3 different money moving apps between consumers just doesn't make sense. In the US, we got one, right?
Right.
It's called Venmo. And if not Venmo, you have Zelle, which is crushing it, by the way. But, like, that's it.
Right.
So there's reasons why it won't happen here. But let's put that aside, because I don't want to bash, Israel or Israeli finance.
Well, I want people I want to understand it. So now you got to. Now it's my turn to be curious.
No, go for it.
So
I can tell you why Israeli FinTech, and I think there's a few reasons to it. I think that as we've emerged, as FinTech continues to evolve, and as Israeli tech has emerged, and what I've seen over the past, like I said, decade, and now 10 years doing FinTech, is like this isn't just about anymore just like, let's just build something that is about, different apps. Let's do a neobank. Let's take, whatever finance is and make it more consumer driven and customize and make it appy-like. FinTech is now becoming something which is so much more embedded, which is so much more its own animal that you wouldn't even think it's FinTech. You don't realize that it's FinTech, but underlying behind it is everything necessary for to bring financial services to life, whether it's for a consumer or for a business. And when you think of what is required behind that, like I said, that financial trust, everything around privacy and how you manage your identity across different platforms, all of these really, really important security, identity, big data, all of these things that are crucial for money movement at scale, for data movement at scale, for security at scale, for risk management at scale. All of that infrastructure are just things that Israelis are really, really good at building. And so it's not trivial. I think that explains why we've had such really big, successful billion-dollar fintech companies over the past few years. It's whether it's the Rapids of the world, or the Next Insurance of the world, or the Melio of the world, or the Fireblocks of the world, and et cetera, and Unit and others. Like, we know how to handle massive amounts of data, encrypt it, de-risk, build trust, understand different parameters about who are the different bodies involved. And when you realize that doesn't just come from being in the army potentially, but a lot of it does come from that, right? But not only. What we built over the years it just lends to like creating better fintech companies over time. And I think that, we're just really good at it. And so I think the proof is in the pudding. We have over 20 different Israeli-founded billion-dollar fintech companies and growing. And you can say that, that's more than you can say for cyber and other areas in Israel. So when you think just about what we are, like what fintech has become, I think it's much more about infrastructure, it's much more embedded. Yeah, I just think that Israelis just are really, really good at being able to build that, and we continue building it.
What are some fintech trends?
Well, I mean, obvious one is just AI fintech, right? Like I think to me,
that's about any industry, AI plus.
Right, but I think within fintech, it's even more interesting. Like you're going to actually start seeing like solutions that wouldn't exist without AI.
I think financial fraud is going to be a thing of the past, right?
We're working on it, right?
Well,
finding solutions.
Going to be.
But you're spot on. As an example, like what can we solve immediately?
Right.
What KYC can we provide at the point of transaction? Certain things that wouldn't be able to exist within fintech without AI.
Right.
So those things, just like AI native fintech, I think is awesome and really interesting. To your point around financial crime, financial fraud, like I think I'm the only person that's using this term of fintech defense, because it's something that I've been following it since October.
You trademarked that. What's up?
There you go. Since October 7th, there's a lot of teams and companies out there that are focused on like sanctions and financial crime and the like, but being able to touch upon the connectivity. Think about like really cybersecurity for money, in the sense that like, okay, people are like, but cyber is also fraud. Of course it is. But you can't handle financial fraud and financial crime and terrorist financing and state-funded financial crime if you don't understand both the cybersecurity side of it and the government side of it and the fintech and financial side of it. And if you close that whole loop together, you have something very new and very different that is fintech and defense. It's not just about sending a drone up in the air. We stop terrorism if we stop the transfer of money, and you stop financial crime when you understand how financial crime works. But you have to be able to have both those aspects of understanding money movement, cross-border movement, trade, AML, things like that. And so to me, that's really interesting as well. I think that, like I said before, consumer is on fire right now. Fintech consumer is doing very well. If you look also in the public markets, I think that's going to continue going forward, especially when it comes around, not just around healthcare, but like what I said before about like, how do you manage money and finances and the household, but also from a more behavioral level? I think that makes a huge, huge difference. And I think we're going to see more companies touching around that. I love anything that has to do with fintech and embedded fintech in areas that are like, not even just unsexy, just like nobody even looks at them, like logistics, agriculture, just areas where nobody's really looked at them in a digitized way, like Corbell, for example, up till now. Things like that, to me, I think are really compelling, and we're going to see a lot more of those too. Yeah, privacy, I mentioned. Anything around managing privacy in a kind of zero knowledge, trust way.
Where does it come from? Like, a lot of people are in cyber. In Israel, success comes from the military. Right? AI usually from universities, PhDs often. Is fintech, is that technology developed and used, let's say in, what did you call it? Finance defense? What'd you call it? Fintech? What'd you call it?
Fintech defense.
Fintech defense?
Yeah.
Does that come from the military? Is that why Israel's strong in fintech? So where does it come from? Because when I first learned that, I was surprised, because I'm thinking we don't have enough banks. We need deregulation. Right. How are we not a financial? We have so many opportunities, because I study finance, and I went to go work at KPMG, and they offered me 6,000 shekels. I said no. That was a long time ago, but I know. No, because actually, whatever. It's a crazy story. But yeah, so I was like, why is Israel successful? Where is it coming from?
I think it's a lot of what I said before. I think that when it started off, like when fintech started off, the first company in the space, like when you can look at Lemonade and Hippo as an example, but a few others, I think that when it came to like capital markets, we had companies here that could bring what they, the knowledge of, like I said, like big data, final companies like that could look at like algo trading, fast transactions, things like that, which could have come from the army. And there were companies in that, focused on that. But like, the beauty of where we started off is that people that realized that there was a problem and they just went out and built it. Like the team at Melio, they came from the Gifts project and they sold to eBay, but that was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was commerce. It wasn't B2B payments. They didn't, I think, know, maybe there was payments involved. I hope I'm not wrong what I'm saying. I'm obviously a very successful team, but I don't think they came from a payments background per se. And I think that what we're seeing over the course of, where fintech started a few years ago versus now, where it started, there's a lot of talented founders that knew, like I said, big data, large transactions, crypto, whatever it may be, encryption, things like that, different technologies that are necessary for money movement, for large transaction, for scaling those type of things, and realized that there was a huge problem. So they said, let's go fix it. Let's do better underwriting and build Lemonade and build our own insurance company, or let's, things like that. And now over time, there's just like so many different successful fintech companies. So the founders come from within them. Like, Michael Reitblatt, he started off at Fraud Sciences, which was acquired by PayPal, not a payments company, right? It was not, but it was acquired by PayPal. And then after that, he was working at PayPal. He did Forder. And I believe also the team out of Riskified also came out. I don't know where they came from, sorry. But I'm just saying, like, that's an example of, like, there were companies also, there's also teams that didn't come from financial services, learned financial services, got introduced to that, and then spun out companies as well. So you really have a mix. You have people that were just really talented that realized there was a problem, went and fixed it. There were folks that didn't come. I have a lot of people that came out of cyber, by the way, and now want to do fintech as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What's up with that?
A lot of that because of the potential, because it's so big, because fintech defense is an example, cybersecurity around money, around fraud, about risk management, like all of that is massive. It's a bigger opportunity than just selling to an enterprise. It's harder maybe to sell initially into a bank, but the potential is massive.
Right.
And then the last thing is obviously you see just like now, like I said before, a lot of these founders just, they came, they worked at Papaya, Amelio. I mean, all these guys, a lot of the next big fintech companies come from folks that worked at a few fintech companies and now they're building their own.
Awesome. That's great. So you'd say you're very bullish about the fintech in the future in Israel?
Otherwise I wouldn't have this fund, but yeah. 100%. I think
they just need to hear from you.
Look, I'll put it this way. I think that, and I had a thesis and I envisioned that there was more fintech companies and cybersecurity companies when I founded the fund, and I was right. There were more Israeli founded fintech companies than cybersecurities.
This would probably be a surprise to most people.
Well, look, it's all about how you look at the data.
Correct.
Okay, so
you look at actual numbers versus
funds say that there's only like 300 companies. That's not true. If you look at like IVC and you also look at SNC data, I track this every single quarter because I send it to my LPs. The difference between deal in cyber and fintech sometimes is like 9. Quarter to quarter. Like I've looked, the size of the deals is obviously very, massively different but like that's great. You need less money to build a successful fintech company. Awesome. And I think again that it's all about definition. I've said this, I spoke recently. I was an article in DeMarker, and I spoke to Omri Zahov, which is a wonderful journalist, and I told him like he let's put it this way. He was like, I realized that you probably encounter a lot of people talking about fintech that don't really understand. They don't really get it. And I was like, oh, finally, yes. And it's not me being condescending. I don't think that I'm the best at it. There's so many people so much smarter than me. But when it comes to fintech, because it's so broad and because it's so massive, he was like, but cyber is also fraud. I'm like, yes, but there's specific companies that all they do in the world of fraud is sell to financial services. So from the get-go, they are fintech. They're very specific to financial services. Whether it's a company that does just KYC for banks or just does vendor management and IT management like Entrio does. Sorry, I'm plugging my own portfolio company.
No, it was as you should.
But the reason why I mention it, it's like you could call that a data company. Of course. Why not? You can call it a data company. But if you categorize Entrio like a general SaaS company, that's a mistake. Because the process to sell to JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, AmFam, which are, by the way, their customers, the leading banks in the world, is very fucking different than any SaaS company that you're trying to sell to an enterprise. So if you keep that in mind, you realize that the definitions out there are a little bit lacking. And because of that, it seems as if there's not as much fintech as cybersecurity companies, or I'm speaking at a panel at a conference this week, and one of the topics is, where have all the Israeli fintech companies gone to? I don't know. They're still here. I meet them all the time.
Right.
So it just matters. It was just like a sexy title to make people come to listen to the panel, but in the end of the day, if there wasn't enough fintech, then there would be we wouldn't see these billion-dollar companies. They're here for a reason, because we have so many new companies in the space, and we're going to have more. And I think in general, from what we need in Israeli tech, is to not just focus on cyber, not just.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we're way too central. Essentially, even though cyber's not going away.
It won't go away, but like you asked me also before this we got on the podcast, like, wait a second, why'd you invest in like Lasso and Shift Security?
Right.
And because when you look at those two companies, yes, of course they're cyber driven. They a lot of my help to them is like they need to talk to CISOs. I could know CISOs of a few banks or not. I've done that before. I've made those introductions before to companies, but essentially, yes, it's a cybersecurity company, but Lasso is very focused from cyber, but also around compliance. If you look at their customers, like very government-driven customers that are, and also financial institutions. And when it comes to Shift Security, yeah, of course they're doing, they're a cybersecurity company, but they're so focused on risk management and managing risk at scale around the supply chain. And that is very, very crucial for any financial institution as well. And they also have those type of customers too. So it fits within my thesis.
Okay. I dig your thesis.
Thank
I
you.
like it a lot. What other industries do you think are hot in Israel other than cyber and fintech? What do you think might be up and coming?
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know if I think defense is in general something that we're probably the best at, but I don't really know what defense is from a tech perspective.
We interviewed
apologize.
Tal Leshem for Protego. She was sitting right there.
She's wonderful.
She's awesome.
I know. But then what is defense? And who's the buyer?
Well, you'll have to watch that episode.
Okay. I don't know who the buyer is. I mean, is it like Lockheed Martin? I don't know. I'm sure I just don't understand it, but obviously that needs to be, defense needs to be something that Israel needs to lead. And I think we need to go back. It sounds like we're getting there, but I think we need to go back to when people say deep tech, we should be doing the hardware, the typical stuff that people didn't want to invest in back in the day. We need to go back a couple of years and bring it back.
But the returns on look, so you mean your fund, right? People want to see returns.
Yep.
Deep tech's got a damn long-term return.
Not
He has a lot more money and a lot more time to make a profit.
I'm not an expert in the space, but I feel like with the way chips are being made and silicone and different types of what the materials are made out of these days, and the combination between hardware and software, I don't know, I would believe that the sales cycle would be not as long as it used to be, or the getting out, I don't know, into the world would be, again, not an expert, but I would imagine that. And of course, by the way, what happens here with the healthcare is insane. The fact that my Maccabi card is on my Apple Wallet, y'all don't got that in the States. That's
I didn't even know that. I can do that.
That's insane. Yes.
Well, that's great because I had to do picking up a prescription for my 9-year-olds.
Everything in this country when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah, they're very good
notch.
at sharing data. It's fabulous.
Notch. Yes. And so I think that.
Maybe we'll see more in health.
I hope so. I hope so too.
Yeah, there are a lot in the hospitals and whatnot.
Yep.
So FinTech, I saw you're speaking at the conference on Wednesday, 2 days, right?
Yes, the FinTech Junction.
FinTech, now also AI because they joined it. I'm emceeing the crypto and Web3 part of it, more than a panel, I think. But you're speaking. So what are you going to talk about?
Again, not my decision for the title, but it's FinTech cockroach versus unicorn, which I think the idea behind that is how can you what's right nowadays in FinTech, whether you're doing pre-seed, seed, or growth, how should you be, managing the business? Is it better to stay lean and gritty and stuff like that? Or how do you get to that unicorn? What is necessary today and what's the expectation today as you're looking to scale and grow and manage teams? It's very relevant because a lot of what, the hit that FinTech got, software as well, but FinTech got hit so much over the years, which it caused a lot of very large FinTech companies to completely cut cost and focus so much more on not growth at all costs, but being much more, I guess, quote unquote, that cockroach in a way, right? And so that's the conversation of what's necessary, how do you do it, how do you still build while being lean, and sales cycles are shortened, not shortened, things like that. So
where do you, how much does crypto play in FinTech? And also, since you talk about FinTech defense,
right?
I would say also probably plays a bigger part there, maybe not.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of how.
I feel like your whole industry is probably rapidly changing, or not changing. They need to adapt for crypto too.
100%.
What does that look like? Because it's so volatile. Everyone's like, we need to get on this. We can be ahead of the game. And then 7 years go by, and it's kind of advanced, but not really.
No, I think you're spot on. I think, but it's more volatile as it relates. I think more to the consumer side of crypto, right? If you're going to hold coins, not hold coins, the actual crypto part of it, the token part of it, tokenization, what's around stable coins, things like that, I think is actually getting, so there is a shift too, especially because regulations have shifted in the States. So moving from the Biden administration now to Trump has definitely opened a lot more. I think there's not, we don't really know yet. There's still a lot of questions over what's going to happen, but I think that it's allowed for a lot more opportunities, and I think more to come. Even now I just saw an article that came out that Robinhood wants to they want to tokenize different types of private companies.
Oh, interesting. So you can buy tokens instead.
But you can tokenize, like, for example, you can get now part of OpenAI's equity, which is only supposed to be kept for like high net worth individuals,
Right.
but they're opening it up now through, this new mechanism. So it's like, that's very cool in a way,
Right.
but it's, and I like that because it's democratizing access to an asset that wasn't available to everybody, right? Which is so much what fintech is about, which is great. But it's still, I'm bullish. I've been holding since 2013. As a person, I personally, I like, I definitely believe in it, but I'm not so much into the hype and all that. I'm more like, again, I think that from an infrastructure side, and I know that sounds so like blah saying that because everybody's like, I don't like crypto, but I love the infrastructure blah. I do. It's one of my thesis areas is actually I call the transfer of ownership. And a lot of it has to do with Web3, like what is ownership and how do you transfer that? And I think where we are now, it's not just around typical DeFi anymore. I think that to me, what's going to make this world still be really interesting around crypto, blockchain, Web3, whatever it may be, is remembering that it's not just about democratizing everything and making it completely open. I think if you need to have really strict and smart compliance layers as well, in order for it to be something scalable and usable by everybody without that crazy volatility that you mentioned. It's not around the tokens anymore. It's about something broader. I wish I saw more companies in the space. I have a thesis area around it. I'd love to do investments around it, but I haven't seen anything interesting lately, unfortunately.
All right, before we end, there's one question I do want to ask you,
Yeah.
only because you're in fintech.
Yeah.
I was thinking, are you familiar with X payments? Like X is working on X payments.
What do you mean?
Oh, okay. So they're rolling out X payments. They're
X, for Twitter. Sorry,
yeah.
I don't say X. I say Twitter.
That's okay.
Sorry. Yeah, of course.
because that's going to revolutionize everything. I find it right because you were talking about having so many apps to send things.
Yep.
Being able to pay things that cost whatever $20 a month. Let's say Wall Street Journal. I can just unlock an article for a dime.
Yep.
Right. Let's say there's so many ways. Just send money, receive money, tip creators.
Monetize. Yeah.
I think it will step up streaming on the platform, whatever. Right.
Right. And I love that he's doing it, Musk, because he's one of the PayPal mafia. Yeah. No, listen, one of the things I've realized lately, and it's like I knew this, but the more you dive into it, you're more like, it's insane. Like companies like Apple, Twitter, or X, Meta are massive fintech companies.
Yeah.
Massive. And so I think that for a lot of startups, I don't think of it as competition per se, because they still don't think or can't be as innovative as a new startup in many ways and be as fast, but they have so much, they have so much money. They can do so many things with what they have.
Right.
So what's the question about XPay specifically?
I was wondering if you had any thoughts of where things was going. It's going to just get your opinion.
I think that, what you said.
I don't know if you follow it. So
No, I do. I think that the question is, what does Musk want to do specifically with it? Because a lot of what happens with consumer fintech is that the question is always of how are they monetizing?
So here's my opinion. I thought this through. By making X payments awesome, easy, and being able, just by having an X payment app, let's say as an example, that you can unlock anything that's a subscription for a nickel or dime. I would make that example up. I'm assuming that it wasn't discussed. Now, a lot of people that are not X users, because it's a kind of niche-ish social media platform. It's not for everyone.
Right.
Now they have an account.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's social media. It's also my favorite app. So go figure. What does that say? And I'm like totally bubbly and positive person. But I think it will bring people onto the app, and then you'll be able to know more information about them instead of them ad revenue. Or certain things to do, and maybe upsell subscriptions once they have you in the door.
Right.
Getting someone to download an app, use an app, reuse an app, and then it's got a social network aspect. I'm not talking about X. I mean, I'm paying you money. I'm paying other organizations. It's transactional. It's not like a video game on my phone I might be consuming alone.
I think it's different. I think what he wants to do is be able to have people purchase things through X.
Correct.
I think certain
but through the process.
Not just like ads. I mean, if you're like, okay, a lot of what
e-commerce, like I could see exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think is
Yeah,
gonna
that's
happen.
also part of it too, right?
That's going to be insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think it's totally going to probably going to take a lot of startups out of business, a lot of ideas.
I don't think so. Again, it's there's so much more of the world. You realize now we're only at even with all the fintech out there, trillions of dollars in volume, and we still have so much more to go.
Okay, fine.
Financial services is massive, and we're at a small percentage of it, even with all the fintech that we have. So the fact that he's building this, I think is smart. It makes a ton of sense. But look, we have Apple Wallet, and you still have companies that are in the wallet and payment space, right? And you have, and Meta is my God, they're they have massive transactions of money, especially, by the way, in rest of world and third world countries. emerging markets. And still you have companies building. I think that they're great partners, they're great buyers, and it's a great way when you think about being a fintech founder, like where your exit comes from. It doesn't have to be just from a bank or from another fintech company per se. It could be from one of these large, all the large companies, the large enterprises that you didn't think would be a fintech. But apropos what I said initially, fintech isn't just looking like fintech anymore. And because it's so embedded and so much more in the back end as an infrastructure, the sky's the limit.
There
so
you
much
go.
to do.
Well, with the sky being the limit, definitely going to have you back around too, because I'm not thinking of all these other questions, and we do need to end up.
Awesome.
Adi Levanon from Selah Ventures, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe one day she might be looking for a partner, so who knows? You can reach out to her if, hope she won't kill me for that.
I will.
Thank you for following Israel Tech, and thank you for watching. Make sure to like and share with your friends, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Adi. And thank you, Google for Startups.
Thank you, Google.